I'm Bill Nicholson, I'm the chair, I'll open the meeting. It's the 21st of July, 7 PM, we're in the Municipal Center. This is a Historic District Commission. I think we'll talk primarily about the Common, the progress of the Common, and then afterwards we can talk about the library, and John's got a few things to bring up.
Sure. All right. I'm happy to give you an update on what's going on at the Common. So happily, we finally, after 22 inches of rain, got started on
Is that right?
construction,
Is
something like
that.
that,
22 inches. It's great.
And how many weeks?
in the month of July.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah. So they started. Obviously, if you've been by, you've seen that there's lots of trenching going on. So step one is really to do all this trenching. They're pretty much done with the electrical trenching that needs to happen. Electricians are supposed to be there tomorrow and Friday to lay the majority of their conduit, and the contractor plans on backfilling everything by Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and then planting and then putting down grass seed. So they really wanted to get this opened and closed as quickly as they possibly could. They were not very careful about our irrigation system. They just sort of went through it like it wasn't there. Fortunately, it is it's a very simple, I mean, it's just plastic tubing, so it's really easy stuff to fix. So we're gonna.
How far down? It doesn't go very far, does it?
No, it's maybe a foot, less in some places, which is pretty normal. So they're gonna reconnect all that once the electrical's in, and they've got some backfilling done, and then I'll have the water district come back out, test the irrigation system. If anything isn't working right, they'll fix it, and then once that's good, then they'll backfill the entire trench, all the trenches, and then seed. So they really wanted to get that done quickly so they could get the grass seed down and we could start growing grass as soon as possible. This is obviously a tough time of year to grow grass, but they're going to water it and do what they can to keep it going.
Okay. So, Andy, I was not at the last meeting, and I'm not sure if it was covered, but where are we on the backflow preventer issue with the irrigation system?
So I had a meeting out there I'd have to look, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago with Paul Canoyer, with somebody from the Grafton Water District and one other person, just to look at what was there and just, because I had asked before, I asked, I need some help here. You guys need to describe what needs to happen here, because basically I get the first answer I got was, oh, any plumber would know what to do. I'm like, no, I need to give this to the general contractor so they can hand it to a plumber who can bid it, and we can get pricing, and then we turn into a change order, and then we go forward. So I can't just say, that thing.
Yeah.
So we had a good meeting, and everybody understood what needed to happen. They understood they needed to give me some information. I haven't received it yet, so I have to jump on them. I'm going to see Paul tomorrow, and I'll remind him that I need to get that information back so we can keep that moving. It's not a big operation. It's pretty simple to do apparently, but still I need the information so we can move it along.
And Paul told me it's going to be right inside the fence pretty much, not kind of out. It was prior to that, we thought it was going to be 10, 15, 20 feet out into the Common.
Yeah, so there's some flexibility. The shut-off is in the street right next to the curb, and then there's a little bit of grass, then the fence, and then a little bit of distance until you get to the manhole. So it could be really any place in between those two things, between the manhole and the fence. So we can squeak it close to the fence if we want to. And just basically have it be out of the way.
And I'm trying to remember, there was a couple of different ideas on how big of a unit this was going to be, or how much of the piping was going to be exposed,
right,
or be above ground. Are we still looking at something with I think last discussion I recall it was going to be maybe like a foot off the ground or thereabouts?
It sounds to me like a foot max. Yeah.
Okay. And do we know what the diameter of the piping is?
I don't offhand, but it's not. It's irrigation stuff, so maybe it's 2 inch.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So do we have any issues from a site perspective regarding safety, and do we need to consider some type of a screening to prevent people from tripping over it or kids standing on top of it? And,
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
damage and whatnot.
I'd like to, what I was hoping to do is get the information from these guys, see exactly what it looks like, because then, maybe if the answer is, it's pretty sturdy and we could put it right next to the fence where nobody's gonna trip over it, then we don't have to really worry about somebody standing on it if they chose to. But if it's maybe something that shouldn't happen to either, maybe we wanna have it closer to where the manhole is now, so we could put something over it. It sounds like it's a pretty minor thing, like literally if you wanted to put a bench over it, you could do that. There's room, it's that low of a profile where you could do that.
Remind us where the manhole is.
So if you're coming in from the, two Grafton Common
North
side of
side.
things, right, the north side, it's, on your left-hand side, about 10 feet in, just inside the fence.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find, it's a manhole right there.
The manhole cover will stay,
No, that'll go away, that's
go
just,
away.
that's a pit, yeah, that's where the
so
current
it
thing
could
is.
literally go right there or anywhere in between from where it comes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like we'll probably deal with that at a future meeting, once we see exactly what it's gonna look like, how big it'll be, and
Yeah, like I said, I'd like to get the actual, pipe size, whatever the dimensions of this thing are gonna be, so then, right, we can bring it back here and we can talk about what we wanna do with it.
And then the plan is to have that be part of what we bring to the select board when we bring the bandstand accessibility change order to them, so we'll have a separate change order for this.
I don't know that they have to go together, but because there will be two separate change orders, but yeah, I mean, I'd just like to get it in as soon as I can, so that we can all look at it, decide what we wanna do with it. I need to get the information first, so that then I can give it to the GC, so they can get it to a plumber, who can then look at it, price it, get it back to the GC, get it back to us. So it's a
I'm
little
just
bit
thinking
of a
if the
process.
timing works, it may be easier to just go before them once and get it over and done with it both if we can. Hopefully we won't have any other change orders.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think that we do, but, the select board piece of that, I don't think is a real time killer. I think that's fine.
Oh,
They're
thanks.
usually
Great.
right on top of things, and we can, I like to, if I can come in front of them with organized information, it usually goes pretty well. So
See, they had a
that's,
big pile of sand delivered, so they're
yeah, so they're,
to go underneath the walks probably.
the sand right now is actually that the electrical conduit goes on top of, right? So they dug down 3 feet, and then they come up with sand, and then the conduit goes down on top of that. And then they backfill that with more sand, caution tape, and then the rest of the fill they pull out of the ground, so.
Have they started pulling up the asphalt?
No, so that'll happen next week, so then the air spading will happen at the same time. I've been talking to Davey, and they know what our schedule is. Still, it's plus or minus a couple of days, so I'm still waiting to get final word when that's gonna happen, but those guys are prepped and ready to come out here and do their thing too.
Right.
And so I know we're fairly early on into the project, but from your perspective, is everything on track? Are we still looking at meeting completion dates?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a couple of, I guess, so for the majority of the work, yes. I think for things like light poles and the
Arches.
the arches, I guess, are both a little ways out. So those are, I think everything else is gonna get all buttoned up. Like the light pole bases will be in, electricity, the power will be run to them, and then these guys will just come back. So that we'll open up the common, and then we'll be able to come back in, and they'll come in and put the light poles and lights in,
Yeah.
and then wrap it up.
This is because of the lead time to get the poles and the lights.
Where are we on that?
So we ordered the lights for the archways months ago. It's been probably 13 weeks now, 14 weeks? I
Something
think it's
like- yeah.
14 weeks. I think they told Jam Corp when they contacted them that it's 15 weeks.
Right.
And they ordered those, what, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Anything related to metal, any kind of fabrication right now is terrible. Between raw materials and supply chain issues and shipping, all of it is just making a mess of
Right.
the
Do we have any
construction world.
estimated delivery dates at this point for either the poles or the lanterns?
Last time I talked to him today, and he said it was the same as it was before. So I can get that right now, whatever date they have is a rough guess. So yeah, I mean, I think it's probably still,
I think next week is 15 weeks from when we ordered the archway one, so they said that they would follow up when they were ready, but I haven't heard anything, and it's been like 3 weeks since I reached out to them last time, so I'll
Yeah.
probably reach out to them again next week.
and these guys are in touch with them also about the rest of the lights.
So, the lights, right.
So it's probably still another 12 weeks out.
Still like to get the archway lights.
Yep.
Are they gonna be working with Mott? Are they gonna be working with them?
Yes.
Yeah. So, the whole idea was to get those archway lights to Mott so that they could begin working on fabricating the archways.
Right. Yep.
Hopefully, we'll get those soon.
Regarding the archways and the columns that they're gonna be on, the granite columns, are we gonna use the existing ones, or are we gonna replace those?
You can use the existing ones, yeah. And they've been looking at them, some of them, there's a couple of them that are tilting, so they're gonna reset those. There's a couple of them that are like this, and they need to be leveled. I just talked to them today about making those adjustments, and then they're gonna try to groove them in place. But they said if it's too much, they'll remove them and cut them and then put them back in, so. Sounds like they have a pretty good plan. They don't really see that as a big obstacle.
Good. Can I imagine what those things weigh?
Yeah.
Hopefully they get a bigger loader to lift
Yeah.
those things if they need to.
The brick has been ordered. We've gone through things like benches with them.
Did they expect to get the brick on time when they need it? And
Yep.
what
Yep.
should be
Yeah, they
pretty
didn't
soon,
think
right?
they didn't think there was a real big issue in terms of timeline for a brick. But again, next time I talk to them, I'll just again confirm. That's usually my first question is, where are we with procurement? Because that's what drives everything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weather permitting.
Yeah.
How about the variance that we need to get from the Architectural Access Board?
Yeah, I was just, I think putting the finishing touches on that today, so that it's going to be an interesting process. You can get a variance for only a couple of reasons, and none of them have anything to do with the historic character of a site.
But
So
it's cost, right?
It's
And the-
cost, right, so,
Okay.
but they're I've been through this a bunch of times before, they're very skeptical when you say that you can't afford to do something. I think the only thing that's going for us right now is that there were 0 accessible benches before, and we're adding accessibility to the common that wasn't there at all before.
Right.
And the fact that some are accessible and some are not, we're gonna just have to go through the process.
I think they have to, and obviously, they're not going to give it as much weight as some other things, but they have to consider the historic nature of the space. Certainly, they have worked with us in the past on other historical sites.
Right.
like the
I mean, I look at
townhouse.
it, I look at what we're doing, and the benches that are along the sidewalks are all gonna be accessible,
Right.
as they should be.
Right,
And there'll be 4 of those, I think.
Yeah.
4, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And then the other ones that are further flung out into the rest of the common, it would be pretty significant to create accessible paths to those
You have
locations.
to create
It
a
would
whole
really
new
kind of-
pathway system. to
Right.
do it.
Again, the historic character isn't one of the things that they consider, but I would think that they would consider that. I mean, it would change the nature of the common
Yeah.
pretty significantly if we had to make all of those
Right.
accessible. So, I don't know, I'm sure they've been through it before, so we'll have the discussion and,
Right.
so yeah, I should be done with that. I think I should be able to get that out, tomorrow and then get that submitted and start the process.
All right, so I just wanted to circle back on the lighting for a second.
Yep.
So we have the lights for the poles that'll be along the pathways, and then we have the lights for the archways. Do the archways or the poles, are they going to be done at the same time, or are they going, will one get done before the other?
I think the archways are gonna get done first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just looking at the calendar, if 12 weeks is is what we're looking at, you're pushing the end of October
Right,
at
Yep.
that point.
right,
So now it starts to get a little
you need them,
sweaty,
right,
you know,
yeah,
about having everything completed before bad weather starts to set in.
right. Yeah, like I said, it's literally just gonna be plug and play at that point. Everything else will be done. They're gonna come in with a truck, stand up the light pole, put the light on it, call it a day.
Because all the
Pretty-
electrical hookup and all will already be
It'll
there.
all be done,
The
yeah.
base,
All
the base
all the
will
dirty
be
work,
there,
yeah, will be done.
And we're gonna go with a soft light, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about what
He
lamping
has,
will
yes,
do,
he
but-
has. He's brought it up a couple
Yeah.
times.
Well, I'm sure there's code that has to be followed with regards to
Yeah, but it doesn't have
what
to be.
candle
But
and
we're
the rest
gonna
of
have
that.
10 lamps, and right now there's only one, so I
Yes.
think there'd be enough illumination,
Yeah.
even if they're sort of
Right.
A nice
softest
soft
light.
yellow light.
There's some nice, yeah, there are certainly different types of light that you can put in there that I think will be appropriate.
Benches here.
Yeah, that's, I'm a stickler for that sort of thing. Anybody else, Brad, any questions?
So the bandstand,
Yeah, that was my next one.
Neil is, yep, the architect is working on those plans. He had a few questions for us, which we answered, so I would expect that he's gonna be done in the next week. So hopefully he can get that done. I talked to the general contractor about it today, kind of walked through conceptually what that was gonna be. His only concern was where they're bringing power to the bandstand, as planned, from the new pole location across the common to the bandstand. That's going underneath where the ramp is gonna be going up. So if it needs to have a frost wall, foundation for the ramp, then they're gonna need to coordinate that, but that's pretty easy to do. So, it was a good conversation. He wasn't worried about it. He's just good to know. We can, when we go to run our electrical, we can, run it through a conduit so that it's, so we can box it out when they go to do a frost wall later.
So I didn't see a final email from Neil, but he was indicating that he needed to, in his mind at least, to have the slope be at the right angle and all, that it would have to be done in concrete and then the brick put over it. So, and he was saying about not having it be dry, having it be wet, so in other words, mortar be used.
Yep.
So in your perspective, how much different is that gonna look than the rest of the walkways with that approach?
It is gonna look, it is gonna be different because it's gonna have, it's gonna have grout beds, but it's gonna be the same brick, so it won't be, it's a change in elevation, it's a different thing, so I think it's okay. I think it's good that we're using the same brick, but I think Neil is right, unless we built some sort of a metal framework to hold the edge of the brick in, it wouldn't stay, so.
Right.
I think that's the right way to go.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
I'm just thinking, like, I don't want like concrete showing on the sides. We'd have to like
Right.
wrap the brick around.
In the ramp.
We can do something there, yeah. Well, I want to see what his detail looks like.
I'm not sure if we don't have a final rendering of the design, do we? I mean, I think
No, he's
it's,
still working on them.
yeah,
We have, or I have,
I think it's gonna be similar to that.
Pan didn't, Pan, these were the two that we had out,
Oh, yeah, that's the good.
the other night when we had the public hearing. So, that is not the one that we're moving forward with. The one that you have, Pan, is, so it's an elevated walkway. It's a 1 in 20 slope versus a 1 in 12 slope. And by going with a 1 in 20, which is a lot more gradual, you don't need to have handrails. So it gets around that, and, as you can see
Aesthetically,
from
this
the
looks nice.
images, one very dramatically changed the look and
Yeah.
feel of the structure, whereas the other one does not. And that was really the main driver of our decision.
And Paul,
This is sort of a separate issue because it wasn't originally part of the common, project.
Paul, I think we can grade up to that ramp as it goes around for most of it.
Yep.
So that we,
You
even,
don't even see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
So my question
Some
was,
bushes.
will we see a final rendering of the new design from,
Think so.
from
Yeah.
Dixon
Yeah.
Salem?
Yeah, it's
So
part of what he's doing.
he'll have that ready next week?
I think so. I can talk to him again to find out when he thinks he's gonna be done, but he just finished up something else for the town, so now he's gonna go on to this and get this done.
Yeah, because when he's done, then it's gotta go to, JAM, and they've got to price it.
Mhm.
And then it comes back to Andy, and he's gonna
Right.
draft the change order,
Right.
and then we can go to the select board.
Is there an estimate on how much it is?
Well, we're beholden to our contractor. They're gonna set the price, so we'll see what they come
What-
back with. We can
what-
certainly, if we feel it's unreasonable, we can certainly price it out and
Yeah.
see, but.
Yeah, and I think Neil and I are gonna look at it. When he's got it basically done, I think we're gonna take a look at the pricing at the same time they're looking at it, so we can see where we come in.
Have a
to-
ballpark. yeah.
So,
Neil is
so
the
ba- so based on the timeline of getting it in front of the Board of Selectmen and assuming their approval of the change order for the bandstand, when would that work start and finish?
I
Well,
think,
ballpark, I'm not gonna, you know.
right, yeah. I mean, ballpark, I think September.
Okay.
It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna take them a really long time to do it, but I think that's, by the time we get to the end of September, that should be done as well. Unless there's something that hangs it up, but I don't,
Maybe our lights and poles will be there.
That would be nice.
so yeah.
But I mean, at that point, the common would be reopened, at
Oh,
least the
yeah,
pathways and
before
everything?
that, yeah. I mean, I still think the common's gonna be open by the, first week of September, Labor Day.
Okay.
I don't see any reason why not. There is gonna be new grass growing over where the trenching has been done. So, I just had a discussion with the folks from the Congregational Church. They called because they were concerned about their apple pie social. And so I just said, I'm gonna walk with them next week to show them sort of what this is gonna look like once the trenches are all backfilled, because it's not gonna be exactly the same as if nothing ever happened, because we are gonna be trying to grow grass. So there are gonna be some places if there's a quadrant of the common where they had formerly put a bouncy house, we might not be able to do it there, we might have to do it somewhere else. But I think the majority of the common is still gonna be able to be used.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be able to, well, what timeframe is that? That's usually October,
Late
right?
September, or?
It's usually second or third weekend in September, I think third.
Yes, it's,
So the bandstand may not be done by then.
Bandstand will not be done, yeah, no, I
Which they
definitely-
use, that's usually their
But-
hub right there.
That's okay, they can,
Move some.
Sign somewhere else.
yeah, there's plenty of other
Put a
space.
tent up.
Right, yeah.
So what about the, just, again, I'm not fixating on lighting, but just on the lighting, for the poles that are going along the pathway, the stub ups, how far above elevation are they gonna be, and do we have any safety concerns once the common pathways open up?
No,
A trip hazard, that sort
no,
of thing?
no, I think they're significant enough so you'll see them, and if we need to put a
Orange cone
Uh,
on it or
There'll be
something.
grass
road
growing
cone on
on
them
there.
or
You
something
gonna
like
rope
that,
it
we can
off
do
or
that.
something?
Yeah, what's that?
Would we maybe rope off the grassed-in areas just to keep people off them?
Different thing,
Oh, I thought that was the same
The poles,
where
the
the
poles, I
trench
think if
was.
we have to put a road comb on them, we'll do that. That's all that's really needed, because it's a low profile, base, and then the stub up for the
I
power,
mean, is
so,
it just a few inches coming up
Yeah.
for elevation?
yeah.
So those poles won't be where the trenching is? I assume they would be right above.
So
it.
they are at the end of where the trench, wherever if you see a trench going to nowhere and it stops, that's because there's a pole at the end of
Pole
it.
there. I get it, okay.
All right.
And there are a couple of very minor adjustments to the locations of those poles. There's one that I reviewed with the GC today. That was just too close to a tree.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna slide it 3 feet to one side so that, and we'll talk to the arborist again when he's there to see if we can uprune some of the branches that are around that.
Yeah.
But those light poles, those lights are not very tall, so they're sort of under the tree canopy anyway. So we're just trying to, do the right thing and make sure we
Are they
coordinate all this
8
stuff.
feet
I
high?
think they're 10.
10?
I think they're 10.
Are they
Is that
10? I thought they were
With the
8.
lantern?
So how many poles are gonna be there after this is all done?
There'll be 6.
6 poles and 4 arches.
And 4 archways that are lit too.
That are just kinda in the
They're at the-
north-south.
The archways
Yeah,
are.
the entranceways,
at
the
each
north,
entrance.
south, east, west entrances.
They used to be there. They were originally there. If you watch that Wilderness movie, you can actually see that.
Trying to
Kind of cool.
replicate that.
They were like gas or oil at one point, and then they changed them to electrical at a later point. By the time Wilderness was filmed, they were electric.
And now we're going LED.
Yeah, now we're going
Yeah,
LED.
that's
You're
what
absolutely right.
We'll be going
Should be
LED,
solar powered.
for sure.
Trying to think if there's anything else. I think you covered pretty much everything I thought about.
Are we still thinking about bringing the pump handle, the water pump back onto the common?
I was thinking of that as part of trying to cover up the backflow preventer. You know, and that's still certainly something we could have on the table. I don't think we've contacted anyone about that. Is it still at the firehouse? Does anyone know?
I believe
I
it is.
don't think so.
No? It
Has it
isn't?
been moved? Do you know where?
I talked to somebody
that
about
at the
that a while
DPW?
back. It might be in the tree barn.
Oh, so it's not even on display anymore?
I'll be in the
think
tree
it's-
barn tomorrow. I'll let you know if I see it.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody about that.
Ask Paul, he'll know where it
months
is.
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, they
I'm-
did a ton of work to restore it. I hate to see it not
Right.
displayed.
I'm actually gonna
Paul's
be in the
a
tree barn
volunteer
tomorrow.
firefighter, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll know, because it
Oh,
was
that's
in the firehouse. Yeah. I think it'd be nice to
Oh.
have it there as part of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it
I don't really
originally
know what it
was,
looks
right?
Pretty close to that area, yeah.
What about
Awesome.
trees? Do we have any plans at this point to plant new trees?
6,
Yep,
to
it's part of
replace
this
all the
project,
trees
yes.
that have come down,
Those are-
minus the DUI
Right.
related loss of
Yeah.
that cherry tree
Right.
recently.
Yeah, and those are going in next week.
Oh, really?
Is that inclusive of the quote-unquote new town Christmas tree?
That includes it, yes. Blue
Yes.
spruce is what we specified.
Okay. All right.
So,
Is it pretty much gonna go in the same location as the old one, or?
that was my thought, yeah.
And what about that other little pine that's sitting there? Is
A
that
little
gonna,
teeny one.
the little teeny one, yeah. Does that have any significance? And
I think that was the new one they were growing to eventually replace the one that we lost. Of course, they figured they had a long, long time before,
Yeah, that was.
but it's tiny,
small.
yeah. I don't know
yeah,
how,
I don't know, should it even be there?
if we put in a new
You
one,
know, because if you're gonna put a new one in there,
Right.
and you get this other one that's gonna compete
Right.
eventually, and, you know, we may not all be alive, but at some point in time, those two trees are gonna fight to see who's gonna be the town
Right.
Christmas
I'm
tree.
sure there's an opportunity to transplant it somewhere.
We might wanna look at, I mean, as long as we're doing all the work up there, I don't know if it was just planted to be planted, or if it has some sort of significance,
I'm not sure.
you know.
Yeah.
Like, if
I'd
it has
probably ask
significance,
I'll ask
all
the
about
tree
it.
warden.
Yeah,
then, you know,
Yes, ask our tree warden.
because
let's put it someplace else where it's more appropriate for the common.
seems to me I remember Paul saying regarding the big Christmas tree that they were gonna look around town and see if they, you know, could
We had
find
asked
one.
him if there were any, like on any of the town
Oh, yeah.
properties.
Pell.
Pell Farm
He
or
said,
something like that.
he said they would look,
plenty of
but
trees
we
up there.
included in this pricing, and, you know, if you move too big a one, they're not gonna do well.
Right.
I think 2-inch
But if we
to
have one of
3-inch
those
diameter is
spades-
as much.
Yeah, if we wanna move it, we should figure that out.
Yeah.
Or if that's gonna be on site, it'd be that's a pretty small tree.
Hmm.
Be easy to
Yeah,
move.
was it like 4 feet?
Yeah,
Well,
you could dig it up with a shovel, Bill. I mean, it's
I think it's taller
Not
than
doing
4
anything
feet,
this
isn't it?
weekend.
Did I dream this, or and this is completely off topic, the balusters at the library, are they still there? In yellow? The ones around the electrical thing?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
No, they're still
They're
there.
still there. I had
Oh,
a
you-
dream
you
that
have
they
a
were.
hopeful dream that
I had a dream they were
gone.
green. And I wasn't sure if it was real or not. All right. It's wishful thinking.
Are they not?
God
Yellow.
awful fluorescent yellow, and they're right smack dab in the middle of the Upton Street side. It's just, it's
5
horrible.
feet tall. Can't miss them.
And they're not even, it's not like the electric unit is in the parking lot. It's on grass. It's not even near, why do they have to? It's not like a car is gonna go over there. Right.
Is that a good segue into the library?
It is.
Or do we have any more common questions?
And he's also clerk of the works of the library. He was the DPW, but that's all done now, isn't it?
It is.
He's transitioning.
Transitioning.
Yes.
Jack of all
Um,
trades.
So what can I tell you about the library? I'm waiting for the site sign to go in. We didn't have a construction meeting today. They've just been moved to every other week, so I'll ask tomorrow what the story is with that, when we should expect it, because I'm sure it's gotta be fabricated already, so I'm waiting for that to come in, but it is per your most recent input in terms of color and all that stuff, so that should be going in shortly. The building itself is done. We have a temporary C of O. We had a few things from the fire department that they wanted to have added, some exit signs and emergency lighting that are now almost complete. Once that's done, we'll get our final C of O. Furniture's been moving in. The library moves back a week from tomorrow.
Wow.
And then they've got a few weeks of getting themselves prepared for the public and learning how to operate this new building. And then they'll be open. The first weekend in October is going to be a grand opening, party.
First week in October?
First week.
So I think ribbon cutting on Friday, the 1st of October, and then a open house for the public on Saturday, the 2nd.
Cool.
The roof screening, a sketch has been prepared. I haven't seen the final version of it. We went back and forth a few times. It's been on a slow boat through the Suez Canal, it feels like. So the next step there is to get pricing on their final sketch. So again, that's one of the things I'm chasing while we've been trying to finish up the building and hang TVs and things like that. I need to shepherd that one along too, just to see what that looks like. So I need to get pricing on that, then take it to the building committee for their approval, and then keep going.
So we'd have to take a look at it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sign off on it.
I think the detailing that they're doing is literally just that. It's the last version that you guys had seen and it had opined on is what they're going forward with, and they're doing the sort of the construction detailing right now.
Andy's referring to screens on the roof that will block the view of the rather large AC air conditioning units, which were not in what was shown to us originally. They weren't there, and they're pretty big, so.
You can see them right from within the district.
Yeah. So this will obscure.
So I had a question for you, on the, you said the building done. The original building, we had talked about having the trim paint match the new addition. And, unless I'm losing my ability to see color,
You're not.
it's still all white versus the cream. Where are we on that?
So the painter did come in and painted it. They painted everything white, despite the direction they were given. So we're waiting for them to remobilize and come back and do that the right color. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is beige.
Yeah, which is it's
It's like a cream
right.
color.
It's like it's actually what the original trim color was. When the architects went in originally and kind of peeled back some of the layers of paint on the front of the building, they found out that the original was not bright white, but more of a cream color, which is sort of predictable for that time period. It was very rare to get something that was super white.
And are they, when they finish the final design on the screen, the roof screen, will they have the final design on the ADA, wayfinding sign that's gonna be in the front?
Yes, I think that's already available. I'm going to make myself a note to get that for you, because I think that's
I
already.
think that was the only other thing that was still outstanding.
Well, he had that one other sign that was gonna be by the wetland, but
back.
we
Well, I think
didn't,
we approved that, didn't we?
yeah, we didn't seem too concerned about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that final sketch already exists, so I'm going to get that to you.
Okay.
And then the last piece is the curved sidewalks in front that have been taken out. The concrete's been taken out and brick is planned to go back. So I finally got a sketch from the landscape architect that shows something that we can bid. So now I got to go and get that priced out and done. I actually might talk to the guys that are doing the common, since they were, when I talked to them the last time, they were undecided if they were doing it themselves because they've got masons on their own crew, or if they were going to hire a mason that they knew they like to work with. So I'm going to talk to them and see if they're interested in doing this one as well. It's actually not being funded by the public by public funds. It's privately funded, so we can just go and get some.
That's the brick walkway out, the old entrance.
And
Yeah.
benches, right? The
Right.
4 benches?
Yes. Yep.
Has a final landscape plan been developed based on, the
The hardscape, I think, we've got a final sketch on what that's supposed to look like, so I can send that to you guys. The landscaping, I think the landscape architect still has a little bit of work to do. That's been on a slower boat through the Suez Canal. But, yeah, so that one's there, she's still selecting plants and things like that for that area around there. But I have the hardscape, I have a sketch for that I've actually rendered to make it a little bit more easy to understand, so I can send that to you.
And I'm assuming that the final landscape design will happen in stages based on, funding and contributions and donations, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Well, the funding is actually in pretty good shape. It's more about, time of year. So we don't want to start it now. We'd actually rather do that landscaping, in September, when it's better planting season. And I'm trying to line up somebody local, a local landscape company. And it's been not so easy. Everybody's very, very, very busy.
Absolutely.
Even the people that said they would call me back haven't called me back. Those are the people that returned my calls, so.
So have you discussed with JAM the possibility of having whoever they subcontract with for the brick?
No, so I was gonna talk to them about that today, and we got off topic on some other stuff, and so I'll talk to, I'll give PJ a call tomorrow and see if,
I assume that is subcontracted out work, right?
what's that?
Are they subcontracting out the brickwork,
Well, that's what I said before. Sometimes they do it themselves, and sometimes they subcontract it out to a mason. So they still, as the last time I talked to them, they weren't really sure what they were doing. I know they've ordered the brick, so they should have made a decision already.
Can't imagine how many hours will be masons on their knees,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would be paralyzed
No
in
thanks.
1 hour.
Right,
It'd
yeah.
carry me away.
Yeah.
Just this work is gonna take me like
Um,
a day to build a brick up.
Anything else regarding the library?
That's everything I recall.
Just quickly, I know this isn't really your purview, but the new building that we're hearing about going in where the old DPW was across the fire station, is that pretty much a done deal?
I believe so. I talked to Evan about it a couple of weeks ago, and it sounded like it was a done deal, but I haven't heard anything more. I haven't asked either, so I'm not really sure. But
But that
sounds like
includes the O'Hara tree barn, or the
Yeah, that was
one.
part
I
of
believe
it.
so, yeah. That was part of the deal, yeah.
So that'll hopefully look a lot better when they.
Yeah.
What's going there?
So where the DPW old facility was, that's been bought out by the same contractor that's developing the complex that's going in across from
Pictures of
the heat station.
I do.
Town.
Discovery.
That's gonna be like a mixed retail and residential setup and parking. This other one is for luxury senior living, I believe is what they had proposed,
And 10% affordable housing.
with 10% affordable housing. It looked really nice. The one concern we have is that it's tall.
It was
It's-
4
was it 5
stories.
stories?
I think 4 stories off
Four.
the ground,
Yeah, I think it was 4.
But.
And it's a huge building.
Massive compared to everything in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That was our one concern. And the barn, which is that white barn that's beautiful but needs to be painted very badly.
Across
Their
from Cumberland
plan,
Farms.
their concept was to change that into either a beer garden or some kind of a wine facility. Which would be nice. It'd be nice to use that, to
Brooke
preserve
and
it.
Sean Paget won't be too happy about that. And Jay Hunter.
A little competition is always good for the soul.
Competition, that's right.
Very true.
Well, I think we don't have any more questions for Andy, do we?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Andy,
Thanks
thanks
for
for your
in
work.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a few things?
Yeah, I had just a couple things. I was approached by Carol Dolphine, the owner of the country store, the other day, and she has a concern with the trees that are in front of the store. When we did that project, we put in trees to bring back, because there was trees historically in front of there. But we made an effort to go with dwarf trees, so they wouldn't get too tall and obscure the building, etc. Well, the dwarf trees are doing what they're supposed to do, but not getting too tall, but they're getting a little too bushy. So they're covering her sign up, or
Yeah.
from certain angles, it's hard to see. So she asked if there was a way to get those trees pruned back. Her husband Craig had done a little bit of work on them last fall, but Carol said, he's not a professional arborist, and she wants to make sure that the trees are pruned back professionally and that they continue to look nice and grow the way they're supposed to grow. So I said I would bring it up in front of the committee here, the commission, and I don't know whether we need to go to town administrator's office, but I think we should probably have them done professionally. I'm not sure if Parks and Cemeteries can do it, or
And there is probably a right time and a wrong time of the year to do it.
Exactly. I mean, they do need a little bit of just general kind of trimming back, because I was up there today, and when you have the walkway that's right in front, dead front center of the building, well, when you try to walk that and get to the side entrance on the left-hand side as you face the building, you kind of have to duck under one of the branches. So at the very least, there needs to be some, immediate emergency pruning that should be done, just for people who don't have to bob and weave underneath the trees.
Okay.
But yeah, to your point, there's a time when trees should be pruned and when they
Which is
shouldn't.
pretty much now.
I'm not an arborist either, so,
Yeah.
I think it's a legitimate concern on their part. And if this is the right time to do it, then we should try to get somebody up there that knows how to, properly do it. I just don't want somebody walking up there with a lopper and just
Right.
going to town and end up doing damage to the trees, and then we're looking at, replanting them down
I
the
mean,
road.
Nick Burnett, I think, has training in that sort of thing. I'm not sure if he's available, but I guess my big issue is, where's the money gonna come from?
Well, I mean, it's town property, so technically the town should be doing that.
Yeah, I would think the town would start with Parks and Cemeteries, and, because they do that type of work, and maybe bring in Paul Canoyer as well, since he's the tree warden. Because I know they do pruning and they do removal of trees and all, it's all part of a plan, so they could fold that into part of it. Paul is probably the person to start with, actually. and
I'll
then-
call him.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah.
What kind of tree is that? Is it a maple or is it a? an
They're
oak tree?
flowering trees. Are they
There's two.
cherries?
Cherries.
I'm not sure if they're cherries or not, but they
you
flower in
said
the
they're
spring. They
dwarf,
got a
so
nice
they
pink flower, I think, as I recall. So it's
They're the
very
same-
pretty, and
They're the same kind, aren't they? Two of the same?
yes, they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, Nick could tell us because
Right.
he did the
He
design,
planted them.
and he planted them. Yeah.
These really small ones.
Yeah.
No, you.
So, and she loves them. I mean, Carol, she loves the trees in the springtime, and they decorate them, they have lights in them, and all
Yeah,
the
but
rest of
they are,
that.
I walked by there yesterday.
Yeah. So
They
she
need to be
just needs to have them
And I'm not that tall.
cut back a little bit.
I didn't hit my head either.
So if we can look into that for them, I know that they would be appreciative of that. The only other thing that I had on the country store, I noticed there was a new sign, there's a new business in there, Congress Insurance, and there was a sign put up, and it took place at the meeting that I missed the other month. There was no application for it.
Where is it? In which building?
It's in the country store.
Kind of straight on the
So
side.
on the side of
on
your
the
Facing
Worcester
the
Street side, you know
Old
the big
Town
glass window?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember what business was in there.
Was that financial planner was in there for a long,
Yeah, well, now
CST
it's
or
an insurance company, and they have the window decals, which is fine. But I think they just took there was a sign bracket up there, so whoever had the business before took their sign down, and they just put a new one up. But all signs, we're supposed to have review of any new signs.
Needs a permit, too.
And it needs a permit. So if it needs, if they got a permit, then the building inspector didn't do his job,
Didn't
because he
notify
should
us.
have kicked it back and said, I can't give you the permit until HDC signs off on your new sign. If they didn't get a permit, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But there is a new sign up there. I think I took a picture of it.
Do we know which one of us has that building as our responsibility?
I can tell you.
There it is, right there. I mean, it's a nice looking sign. I don't have an issue with the sign, but, the permitting process and the application process really should be followed. There's a reason that, you know, it's there. You can pass along.
Yeah, I don't remember,
Betsy.
I don't remember them coming, I don't remember.
I apologize.
I remember the last one I remember was a lady that had a photography studio. I think that was the same.
Yeah, I think it's the same
She
space.
came
It's this one.
before
Yep.
us.
Okay.
Like the one with the eyes?
Especially big for the
Did you approve that?
We actually did approve
eyelashes.
that.
Did we approve it?
The one with the eyes, we did.
Oh, yeah, the one with the eyes, yeah.
And the ice cream
It is a
cone
nice
too.
sign,
with-
though, yeah.
It isn't, yeah, I mean, I don't have any issue, but, you know, it's, you know, not to, you know, pick nits here, but, you know, there's a process that is supposed to be followed. You know, the building owners have a responsibility to have, let their tenants know, first of all. But then in terms of the Historic District Commission itself, you know, we're supposed to sign off on any signage up in the common that's attached to any of the structures. And the building inspector is supposed to notify, you know, when he gets a permit application, if our approved application isn't attached to it, then he's supposed to say, stop, you gotta get approval from HDC before I can give you your permit to put your sign up. So it's a breakdown of the process here, and we've seen it happen a couple times in the past, and, you know, I don't know whether we need to, you know, we certainly need to find out what transpired in this particular situation, but, you know, I don't know whether we need, as a commission, need to have a little discussion with the
Does it
building
happen
inspectors.
with all the signs?
I would-
Like all the signs around the common right now?
Any of the signs
Anything that-
associated with the building
Yeah.
structures, you know,
big.
street signs and parking signs, we don't have any purview over that, but if somebody is putting a sign on the building, one of the buildings within the common, then they need to come in front of us with an application to say, here's my sign, here's what it's gonna look like, do you folks approve of this sign?
Can I ask a couple? I get distracted by this picture.
Yeah, it's a lot of building,
Holy cow, that's big, right?
It's not technically in the district.
Ah, I see.
yeah. But they ask for our input because
It's like next to it.
it approaches it.
Yeah.
Right.
How many units is it?
20,000, I think.
It was a lot.
Was it 300, something like that, I thought?
I
2 or
don't
300.
even wanna speculate. It was a
It's
lot.
like a small hotel.
Yeah, not all that small either.
And this is senior living?
That's what it's
This
supposed to
is,
be, yeah.
Or
55
luxury,
plus, I
luxury.
think. 55 plus.
Imagine the
I
traffic.
wrote a letter,
where's the parking coming? I can't imagine where
I
the
think there's a
parking is.
lot. I
Back
mean,
of it,
there's
because
a-
they have the building pretty close to the street, so I think there's gonna be underground parking.
Yeah, there's gonna be underground parking,
I
yeah.
mean, it is beautiful.
Yeah, and there's gonna be, you know, street level shops.
But that's different than the one across from the T station.
Yes.
That's a
an-
completely different new complex.
Yes,
Yeah, and that's pretty big too.
but it's the same building,
Same building.
Is it?
architect and all, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's 300 or so units, isn't it?
I don't even know on that one
I
either.
think so.
And you have ones going up by Bradish's too.
So who's got the,
Radishes?
Yeah, up behind the Bradish's, there's the apartment complexes going in there.
I didn't know.
there
that.
are?
Yeah.
This is
That's
what
what
I,
they're putting in?
Yep.
They were, because my mother-in-law's condo is right on the other side of where they're doing that. There's a fence like separating
Yeah.
it from the existing
That's been going
condo
back and
complex that's
forth
up
for
there.
a long time, right?
Hmm?
That's been going back and forth for a long time.
Yes, yeah, that's been in the works for quite a while. But yeah, but right by Bradish's, right where, you know,
Yeah,
by
there
Nelson
was a-
Park is,
There
right?
was a farm right there.
Yeah, yeah, when you drive by, you can see where
All
they
these
start to
new
do the
buildings,
clearing.
they look like this.
I've
There's
seen
an
the
orchard.
clearing, but I didn't know there was apartments.
Two
going on.
towns
what
How
over,
did you
man,
find that out?
I saw they built something
I think
like this
that
right
was
at the
going
edge.
on
corner of the street.
when my wife was still working in the planning department. I think that goes back that far, that long.
Yeah, it's been.
It's been a
We're
while.
trying
there's
to figure out
certainly-
What they're doing.
Route 30 and Institute, there's a pretty big project.
Yeah, yeah, there is.
So we're already at 20,000 people. We'll be, you know, who knows, 22 or 3 before you know it. I think the full build-out is like around 25,000.
Running out of places to build.
Yeah, it's like,
So, what's the timeline on this? Or the plan for this?
I don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
I think we've sold them the property. I think they own it now, and it's just a matter of them developing. That's my guess.
So, did you say you were gonna touch base with Parks and Cemetery?
I'll call Paul about the trees.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the only other thing I noticed when I was walking around there, up in the common today, is
So there's a mixed use
there's a lot of
garage that goes.
weeds growing out of, like, the sidewalk areas and the.
Oh, I know what you mean.
And
Yeah,
along the
the
curb
center
ends.
island,
It
everything.
just, it needs a good
Yeah.
weed whack, and it's looking pretty,
Yeah,
it's looking pretty shabby if they could. I know, obviously, they're not cutting the common lawn for for good reason, but that, the rest of it still needs to be done, and, I mean, just in front of the country store, there was, where the sign, I think it's a pedestrian sign, it's like, looks like a display of flowers there or something, but it's weed coming out of there, so.
yeah.
It needs a little loving care.
Which one of us has the,
You know,
Register? You're
I
not sure?
can't seem to find that list. I know it's not me, because I know I've
know
got
it's not
the
me
bank, I've got the, I've got,
Is it Brad?
here's,
I don't have the town.
Do you want to
Right.
deputize him, Mr. Chairman?
Process of elimination.
acclamation?
Well, we could give it to one of the new ones.
Oh,
Weeds on islands.
I agree with you, the weeds are, yeah,
I mean, it's just,
I did just notice
two,
those, yeah.
a couple extra minutes with a weed whacker and
Yeah,
You know,
and maybe a little
done and over.
spray.
And
Or spray.
there are some good, it looks like, there are some good plants intertwined with the weeds. I almost wanted to just like, get started, but then, you don't know whose it is and what's
Right.
good. So maybe something looks like a weed, but it's not, so.
Very true. Very true.
I saw that list today. I was organizing this thing, but I haven't quite completed my organization, and I can't find it.
So,
Don't imagine it's yours, Mr. Vice Chairman, is it? That Billy?
it could be, I'll take a look. I'll take a look. I know I had did I have the Fisher Mansion? I think I had the Fisher Mansion for some reason, but, it could be, the country
it'd
store
be
could
nice
be
to
mine.
redistribute
do
that
it.
list.
I'll just do it,
Well, we have 7 members now. We haven't had seven
Yeah.
members in a long time.
yeah.
So
How
we'll
long
have
have you guys all been, just you guys?
Brad, you're our newest member, aren't you? Until now?
We had Ron
5 years
Perla
ago or something.
until maybe
Oh, yeah.
2 years
I've heard
ago,
about
maybe?
Ron, yeah.
2 or 3 years ago.
This is a record, isn't it?
So-
It's the most people at a.
Yeah,
I don't recall there being 7 in a long, long time.
it's been,
Yeah.
we've
fully staffed
we've
again.
always been at least one down
Yeah,
for the majority of the
here we
time,
go.
and then 2.
for years, we've been down.
Yeah,
Since
there it is
Ron
right
left,
there.
we've been down 2. We were down 1 for a long time before that.
Number 5. Flynn Block.
I bet it's me.
John Morgan.
It's me.
Drew the
It's
short
been
straw.
so long.
So what do I have?
All right, so I'll,
You have the Unitarian Church, the townhouse,
Oh, everybody gets a sign
and
on a
also the
little piece of
library.
The town center.
Yep.
So something.
Um,
This
We
is
can
like huge
redistribute
project.
these
This-
now that we
this
have
like
new
the
members.
Group to come.
4 and 6 Upton Street, would that be
Seen it?
what
Yeah,
was
I didn't see
behind
bricks,
the
but-
library, but is now part of the library? Would that be at least part of it? Would that be
is that,
Did you see
is that,
4 and 6? Not sure on the map.
Yeah, I
Town
didn't even
of
drive by.
Grafton
I'm gonna
Properties,
drive
4
by.
and
That's
6.
probably that piece of land that's right next to the Fisher
I
Mansion,
go the
maybe?
other way on the Milford Street when I go. I don't.
But
It
that's
says
not Upton
town
Street.
properties.
That's not Upton Street, though. This is
The cover's nice.
Grafton and
I'm
Upton
just worried
Railroad is
about the-
8 Upton Street.
the
So it's
sun's
the
probably
same
gonna
side.
wash
It's
out
gotta
the
be
color.
what is now the library.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty. I mean, unless we plant some trees.
yeah, there was that piece of land that was, that they
yeah.
turned into the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must
Yeah.
be.
Was
the
that,
one.
Yeah.
was that. All right, so, do you want me to call Paul, or do you want to call Paul?
I'll take care of it. I know Paul. I'll talk Paul.
Okay.
I mean,
And I'll reach out to the building inspector regarding the sign
Yeah,
and
great.
find out what's going on
great.
with that. Okay. Who has the Grafton Inn?
That would be me.
That keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, if
Anyone want to trade, by the way?
if I'm gonna talk to, the building inspector about the sign for,
Yeah.
2 to 8, do you want me to talk to him about that little shed roof that
Yeah, ask him
got
if he
put up
got an approval on it, but, well.
What shed roof?
on the Grafton Inn?
I knew you could
I
see
didn't
it
know he
from
put up
the
a shed roof.
parking lot on the.
On the back?
It's where the loading dock is. They basically put a roof on the loading dock.
Yeah. They put something new up.
Grafting in.
You've been walking around.
Yeah,
did.
you know every inch of that.
I was up there too,
Comment.
but I didn't have my, I didn't
He's
take
the eagle eye.
Is that so they
Like
can
a nail
smoke out
popped out,
there?
and then, you know,
I don't know, well, there was
Didn't that
something
get
there,
rained on,
I don't,
maybe?
I don't recall if there was something there before and they just replaced it, or that's something new. But again, it's,
I don't think there was anything.
you know, if
before.
it's a change to the structure,
Yeah.
no matter how small it is, and
Yeah.
it sounds picayune, but, you know, little things add up,
Hmm.
and it's our charge to, you know, try to maintain the historical integrity of the buildings. He put that up there without our approval, and you know, did he get a permit for it? And again, if he got a permit for it, why isn't the building inspector coming back to
Right.
us and saying,
Where's the breakdown?
stop, you don't have HDC approval? So I'll talk to him about that too.
Yeah, correct.
Grafton in shed roof.
I mean, and then there's, you know, just in general, I mean, the inn's looking, it needs some tender loving care.
Need some paint.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got
Some
some serious
repair
rot
work
up
on
on
the
the,
cupola.
on the-
Missing glass up there.
Yeah.
For a high
Is that,
school
like along
students
the,
on a project, we
the edge of
get
the
a few
roof
high
on
school
the front
students,
where the portico
just
used
paint
to
it.
be there.
paint it.
It's all falling down.
it's falling down, that's a safety hazard, that could fall on somebody walking by.
There are missing shutters. Yeah, it is looking shabby. I talked to him about maybe, well, I've got a copy of the letter here, about 6 weeks ago, I would guess. He said he would see what he could do. That's what he said.
I mean, it is a little bit of a tough time. I mean, they were closed for quite a while and.
You're right.
you know,
Yeah, and we talked
That,
about that.
you're absolutely right about
And
that.
we brought it up.
I think that,
He would like to put a roof over, if you know where their patio is, on the bank side, what used to be the bank.
They cut a tree down there just a
Yeah,
few weeks.
he would like to put a roof over that. He's not ready to do that yet. But he did come to us, year and a half or 2 years ago, and saying that he'd like to do that.
That's why he took down the tree too. Remember, he took that
Sure,
down
yeah.
a couple months ago without.
Right. I don't know if he took it down entirely, or if the McGill also paid for it. I don't know, because it's kind of right on the property line, I think, between the two. But it's a huge tree.
oh, they're really huge.
Yeah, beautiful old tree. And it was healthy.
I've got some notes on what we discussed, but I won't read that aloud. Anyway, there it is. But he did say that he would see what he could do as far as sprucing up the building.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really tough
Oh, it's
Yeah.
been,
year and a
yeah,
half. I can't imagine that he probably has extra money to be.
yeah, probably not. You're-
Probably not,
Probably not.
We just wanted to see if it's in his thought process.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because again, if it is, and he wants to look to make changes, he needs to come to us, and it's always better to be proactive,
Right.
rather than just draw up a bunch of plans and say, here you go, because, you know, we'll have our input based on the guidelines that are set forth for the district. So it's always best to, you know, come early and put your thoughts out there so we can give and provide guidance, so you're not, you know, reinventing the wheel all the time. But certainly if, you know, I'm more concerned with the process, if there's structures that are being approved that, by the town, that without our approval, then that's an issue. So we need to talk to the building inspector's office about that, make sure.
Make sure the
Get
breakdown's
the
not
facts straight
there.
first, and then, you know, go from there.
Yep. Agreed.
And the only other question I had, Paul, is was there any update on the ramp project for the Unitarian Church? Because it seemed like they were, you know,
No, the last
you know, they
conversation,
wanted to get going fast on it, and
yeah,
they
well, it's been raining so
they
much.
cut the trees down, and all of a sudden, nothing's happened.
I did talk to Pat recently. I didn't bring up that topic with him, so I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that it was rain related because, you know,
We approved a wheelchair ramp for the Unitarian Church.
Okay.
Yeah.
We looked at different styles, different places, different locations. We finally approved one that's gonna come in right from the front. It'll be straight right into the, if you look at the front of the building, it's on the left-hand door. And I go straight right up to it.
It's a 1 in 20 slope like what we're talking about here, so there's no handrails. The original plan they had was to have it on the other side, to have it, they didn't want it to go alongside the building because they were afraid of stuff coming off the roof. So they're gonna have it stick out from the building and then cut back. It was gonna change the look and feel of the building in a big way, so. But they worked with us and we came up with a really good solution.
Good compromise.
So a similar approach
Did
to what's
require
taken with the
cutting down a
bandstand.
tree, and they,
2 trees.
they ended up, didn't require cutting down both trees, but they took down both trees. And so, I think they might be gonna plant at least one more
Yeah.
to replace, but,
Well, that one tree, the bigger of the two, that was not a healthy tree.
yeah, it wasn't that
dying,
healthy. I
yeah.
mean,
That was unhealthy back when we were working on the townhouse.
Do they have to ask to cut down trees in the historic district?
That one was actually on their property, so I don't think they needed to.
Yeah, so the answer is no, if it's on their property. So I think that, we
Sounds
don't
like
have any
everything I had.
applications at this time. There was one for the Unitarian Church. They had some damage from a storm back several months ago to the roof and the cupola and so forth way up high. So they're just gonna repair and replace with the same color, same, tile roofs and so forth. So I can sign off on that, so I did that.
They're very thankful for insurance because the cost to recreate that weather vane was unbelievable.
Wow.
I
I
forget
can
what,
imagine.
it was
And can you
like,
imagine getting to it? I mean, it's
Yeah.
100+ feet above the,
yeah, they
Right.
couldn't even really survey the damage that was caused because it's way on the top of the steeple. So, the fire department came with a drone. They actually went up there and took pictures of it for them, so.
didn't even know we had one. So, that's about it.
Yeah.
Anyone wanna make a motion to?
So what do we have, do we have minutes to approve?
Oh,
Yeah,
right, I
thank
forgot
you.
about that.
Yes, we
Totally
have
forgot
5 sets of minutes. So, I actually had submitted the ones for May 20th, weeks ago, but we never voted on them. So I resent those. Then we also had, a special meeting on 6/3 when we met with Neil to go over, the damage, not damage, but the deterioration of the bandstand and to talk about the concept of making it accessible. And then we had a regular meeting on the 17th of June. And then we had the public hearing and a special meeting on the 23rd of June. So you all have copies of those because I sent them out last night. I did include you guys in it too. I'm trying to remember to add you guys to my list.
I think that I got, but I did have a busy day.
I mean, I read through
It's
them.
probably not that, well, you were present for the hearing, but,
Yes.
but I was the only one, and so it's probably all right that, but I have to make sure that I include you guys on my distribution, so
You did not.
I did not, my apologies. It was a long day yesterday. That was the end of my day when I sent this. Was that 9:30, 8:30, somewhere? Oh, it's late.
9:24 PM.
There you
Oh.
go.
So there you go. Yeah, I read through them. I mean, obviously I wasn't at the public hearing, special meeting. I couldn't make that. So, of the 3 sets I read,
I've gotten them all, I have not read them yet.
I didn't have any
You
issue.
don't, neither of you have them, maybe we should just put it off till next meeting. Give us, what do you think?
Well,
Should we just read them now and?
no, I think people should have a chance to look at them. That's only fair.
Can I just ask after the hearing, you said there was another special meeting?
We had a hearing and then we had a regular meeting after it, so
Oh,
we
okay.
held
so
the
it's-
Immediately
meeting, then we
after.
closed
Okay,
it, and
gotcha.
then we convened the regular meeting.
Okay.
So it seemed like one meeting, but it was really 2.
Well, Brad and I can read over them right now, we can vote on them.
I would say
Yeah, if
these
you wanna
2
give-
weren't here for.
Right, because I was just thinking, that you weren't even on
So
the
if-
team then, so that's no point.
If you want to wait on the public hearing one, and then maybe if we can approve the other ones, that would be good, just so that, because they're gonna be hunting us down for them. We'll get
Oh.
one of those emails.
Which
We'll go
ones?
to you.
The first three.
So
First
May 20th, June 3rd, June 17th.
All right, if you give us a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
Can put on some Muzak.
I'll look at my phone.
Get your reading
Get
glasses.
your Evelyn Wood speed reading skills out.
Yeah.
So
One of
can you
those
just
glasses.
I haven't had supper yet.
forward- 'cause
I will
I'll
send them,
still read
all. I will
just
send
to
them
catch
all
up.
to you. Yeah, it's
Thanks.
good for
Or
you
they're
to be
posted
aware
on
of
the
what
town
we're
website,
doing.
right?
You just
It
forward
will
for you?
be after they're approved.
Oh, after they're approved, yeah, that makes sense.
When I get home, I'll send it to, I send it out from my, my work. You know, I can't call it up to send it from here, but when I get home, I'll do it and send it to you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah,
That's great.
I can just forward this.
yeah, if you can.
Just do that. There they go.
Headed your way.
All right, first one looks good.
One down, two to go.
Professor's not here.
Yeah.
I did do
Missed a
spell
comma
check
on the
and I read
seventh
through them
paragraph.
twice, just because of it.
It's a lot of pressure.
I had posted this 5 years ago. I have race based.
Split an image.
All right, second one's good.
Yeah, I'm just in the second one now. Yep, that looks good.
There's one email that
Okay.
just got bounced.
I approve the first three.
That's probably you, yeah.
Yeah, that one got bounced out. So-
It didn't go to you?
No,
Or
huh?
one that- The
Didn't
one
get
with the
them?
minutes?
Yeah, the one
It's
you
not
just
attached?
sent, it didn't go through our email, umassmed.edu, so.
Probably don't like attachments. Do you have a personal email? Send it to.
Sure, I think it's just.
Sometimes when you send them from the iPhones, the attachments don't.
Don't work.
They don't
Don't work.
attach.
I don't know why that is.
Oh, did you use your old, remember you had,
Yeah.
John Stevens had given us the wrong
Yeah,
email
but
address?
I think the problem was I had umass.edu and I didn't have the med, but on this one, it's correct, yeah, because I looked at that.
I've gotten emails from both of you guys before, but,
But they may not have had attachments on it.
yeah. Sure. I can
Sometimes
do that.
just
Yeah, that
sending them
looks-
from the iPhones, that happens to me all the time. And you send, you send it from a regular
You want my
laptop
email
or,
in there? Send me an email just asking me to resend them to you, so it's a reminder. Yours got to you?
I got, yeah, I can see it. There's our 2, 3, 4, 5 Word docs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you have another email? I can try to forward it to you again.
I got a rash or something.
Scratch yourself on something?
Yeah, poison ivy that's at the seat.
I've got it on my page.
this guy, bring the plague to the meeting over here.
I'm good with these.
I don't know.
Brad, you want to make a motion to accept the meeting, the minutes?
I motion to accept the minutes, the first 3 minutes on the email.
Second.
Oh, you can't second, you're the
Oh,
chair.
that's right, sorry, you could go ahead.
I'll second that.
All those in
I'm gonna
favor?
read it before I can.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
But you weren't present for those, so it really doesn't make
Yeah,
sense to have
that
you
doesn't-
vote on them. But it's good for you to be aware of what's going on, certainly. All right. Unanimous.
Elizabeth period Gilgun, is that how you pronounce your last name?
Elizabeth dot Gilgun, yep,
Gilgun at umassmed.edu.
yeah.
And that's what I have.
Oh, you know what? I just got something. Oh, no, I got it from Paul. From Pam.
Must be that some schools, they don't like attach, like, you know, attachments are like over a certain size, it just doesn't
Won't
get
allow
sent,
it,
yeah.
yeah. Did it go through?
But I
the
sent it
staff?
to her,
I
yeah.
got it now, thanks.
right.
Yeah,
Good, I'm
perfect.
off the hook, I don't have to send you.
No, you don't.
Not that it would have been a
Perfect.
problem.
Who wants to log back in, though?
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Declare the motion carried, we're adjourned at 8:14.